Welcome back to the pack. It's off the TheWolfeCraze, and we got another patch update for you today for Alvo. This is going to be patch 1.3.7. There's a few things to go over here. I'm going to talk a little bit more extensively on some of the points. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what is to come in the future and what's happening right now in beta. Stick around. Let's get to it. All right, as always, folks, you can find all this information on the official Alvo Discord, and you can also find this information over on the Facebook group and any other social media that we are currently posting to. So be sure to check it out wherever you prefer, but I like to go to Discord. That's where you're going to find the updates more readily. So if you're not joined in the Discord already, be sure to do so. You can go to the Facebook group page, or you can go to the main web page, alvogame.com, and find the link there. All right, now this is patch 1.3.7, which, you know, there's been multiple patches coming through, always giving us substantial content. Some of them few quality of life fixes, some of them not. Some of them is just more content based, and this one is a bit of a doozy. As you can see here on the screen, we got a new map with a whole bunch of things to go over, particularly related to private game mode. We're going to get into that now. So what we have here is patch 1.3.7. Now this was available May 11th. Obviously we're now into June as of recording this video. Now there's a reason why I postponed it. It was because I wanted to see what some of the responses have been towards the pit map, and it's a good thing I held off because there was some great reception and there were some concerns. We're going to go over that, but what does this update entail? Let's go over this now. Main features include the new map, which is Pit. This is based upon the industrial map. If you think about the industrial map for a second, right near the big white water tanks, there's this little pit area. Well, that's essentially where this new map is laid out, but it looks very, very different. Big shout out to Evolution, who helped design and create a lot of the assets that are in there. He did a fantastic job. The ambience is great, and I just absolutely love the color blending. Now, if you want to check out a quick fly through of this map before actually going into it, you can check that out over on the YouTube channel. The link is right there in the Discord, as you can see right there. In addition to the map, you have player revive. This is obviously only going to be for that game mode that doesn't include respawns. That's search and destroy. Obviously, with the respawns in the other game modes, you're not going to need a revive. Especially in free-for-all, no one's going to revive you there anyway. So this is going to be specific for search and destroy. It's going to be on by default. And if you want to play the old school search and destroy prior to this patch release, you can go to the private game mode, and there will be an option there to turn the revives off, where you only have a single life and no revives are available. We're going to talk a little bit more about private match and private match options a little bit further down, but let's move on down this bullet list. Now, obviously, we got the new map added, Pit. If you want to know what this map looks like, just imagine the pit area on industrial right below the white water tanks. That's exactly where it is, but again, it looks a little bit different. It's much more close quarters. It's a little bit more akin and reminiscent to the old house map and the old monastery map, when they were much smaller and there wasn't as much room to run around. If you weren't in the game during those times when those maps were a little bit smaller, well, this is kind of a taste of what it used to feel like. Absolutely chaotic. So get in there and enjoy it. In Monastery, there was a missing collider on some of the barrels. That was fixed, especially because people were hiding in it. If you guys find any glitches or any colliders missing, please let the devs know. It's a form of cheating. It's not cool. It's going to piss people off. Just don't do it. Play fair. Play fair. If you find issues, let the devs know and try not to exploit it. There was also another issue on the town night map. Apparently, players are able to glitch into the wall, especially if they were forced into it. Now, this was around the Green Hall area, or the train station or museum, whatever you guys want to call it. I call it Green Hall because it's the most descriptive in my opinion. But right outside the Green Hall, on your way towards Fountain, there was a spot where people were pushing each other through the wall and glitching into the wall, and you could shoot from inside the wall. And that's because there are no colliders on the outside. Those were removed. All of those assets were removed to create more space so that we can have the smooth running game that we do. So when someone glitched through the wall and was able to stand there, they were able to shoot anyone, but no one knew where they were coming from. This has been fixed, so if you guys were concerned about that, head back into the map, and you shouldn't be running into that issue at all. A new feature was added, of course, as we were just previously discussing, player revives. This was tested Tried and true. It works. It's absolutely strategic. If you guys haven't tried it out, I encourage you to get into Search and Destroy. If you were concerned about playing Search and Destroy because you would die so quickly and you're like, man, there's just no chance to stay in the match, well, this is your opportunity. Now you could run a 5v5 Search and Destroy, and there's a chance that you could get revived. When you're down, though, you can still move. It's not just you go down, you're shot and you're dropped. You can actually move behind cover. So as the down player, you can crawl to a secure spot where your teammate can come and revive you. And the revive takes somewhere between 3 to 4 seconds, somewhere around there. I'm going to say actually about 5 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds. So be sure that you're secure behind cover. As the person reviving, you can shoot while reviving. So just be sure to keep your eyes peeled. There, of course, always is a risk, as enemies might not always put you down right away. So keep that in mind. They might use you as bait. Continue to be the eyes for your teammates as you continue to crawl into a more secure location for them to get the revive. But at least this gives people an opportunity to get back into the game. Now, you can get down twice in a down state and get revived twice, but once you're down a third time, you're out. So be very careful out there and be sure to help out your teammates. So as I was saying about the revive option in private game modes, there's other options as well, and I'm just going to read them right off the list here. You can now allow bots, and you can set how many players are needed before the bots disappear. And this can range from 2 players all the way up to 10 before bots are removed. So a nice little option there in the private game mode. If you guys are interested, you can allow revives, like I had said. You can change the room size. So if you want to run a private match and it's open and you're like, man, I don't want to add a password, I just want to add a private match, and make it open to my friends so they can join, well, you can limit the room size to only allow a certain number of players. And once that's full, of course, no one else will end up joining. You can also disable the AFK timer. So if someone has to, I don't know, if they're just sitting still for a little while and you hate seeing that red bar come up in front of your face to saying that, you know, you got to move or otherwise you're going to get kicked, well, you can turn that off in the private game mode as well. The last feature regarding the private match setting, of course, is the number of players to remove bots, as I had said. This is definitely a wonderful option. It's not absolutely necessary. In fact, you know, it's very often I forget it when I enter the private matches. But it is something that if you guys are interested, especially with League play becoming much more active, teams who are practicing, if you want to make sure you have a full lobby, whether it's bots or not, it is just a wonderful feature to have so that you can ensure that there's a whole lobby there to play with. In addition to the changes in the private match settings, we have some UI features. There's added assists, so now you're going to be seeing the assists on your end of match scoreboard, and you're also going to see them in other places, particularly on the leaderboard. There's a UI fix for the dual weapons displaying the same set, so this was an issue before. If you experienced it, then it's fixed, so don't worry about it. But pretty much it was just related to the stats. The stats looked the same, even though they weren't supposed to be. That was corrected, so if you're looking at the stats, everything should be correct. In addition, there's a new button layout. So before it was across the top or is a little bit, you know, condensed on the side. Well, it's a little bit more clean now. Some of those tabs are a little bit bigger, easier to see. And this is also future-proofing the game for when new features are added and possibly new game modes are added. It's just an easier organizational, design that is, intended to future-proof the game for when they want to add more stuff. So hopefully, you enjoy it. It's a little bit easier on the eyes, and I'm sure you'll appreciate a good quality of life feature. Very small fix here for a weapon. Moved the rear iron sight forward slightly on the trauma. I guess it was a little bit too far forward. Now, honestly, I was not a person to really run the iron sights with the G36, aka trauma. I typically hip fired that one. So, as soon as I got a scope, then I didn't have to worry about, or a sight, I didn't have to worry about it. But if you were someone who was experiencing difficulties with the iron sights, well, those have been corrected. So hopefully when you're putting the gun up and looking down the sights, it's not kicking back into your eye where it disappears. You're going to be able to get a more accurate shot. I'm going to kind of read through some of these a little bit quickly because they're just extra features. So in general, more bHaptics events are included. Of course, this game does curtail towards the use of bHaptics wear. So if you guys are interested or you already have your own bHaptics vest, just know that more events have been added, meaning like there's more reactions along the vest and with a little bit more accuracy. Enable the reporting feature on Oculus Quest Universal menu. So now, well, that's self-explanatory. General fixes, fix player outline not working in search and destroy. So if you're dead and you're looking through the death cams and you're cycling through the cameras, you can see your teammates' outline. It's going to be in like a hazy white, so you're going to be able to tell where they are. It's a little bit more clean, and I'll be honest, for someone who does commentary, I'm very excited for this because that means in spectator mode, we're going to get some nice clean outlines. I can't wait to see what's coming in the future for that. But for us regular players who just, play search and destroy every once in a while and you're on death cams, this is just a nice quality of life feature. Enjoy it. Another general fix is bomb not resetting in search and destroy when player carrying leaves the match. So in other words, if someone picks up the bomb and they leave the match, all of a sudden the bomb wasn't resetting and you couldn't continue that particular round and you might just lose. So nice little fix there. All right, scrolling on down, we could see that another general fix is a fixed bomb and search and destroy on retreat map being difficult to grab, along with various other bugs. And for this retreat one, I experienced this multiple times. I'm so happy this was fixed because you literally had to be sitting like right over it, and sometimes you couldn't even pick it up. So I'm glad that they fixed this. It's going to be very beneficial. It's going to make retreat a more viable map for search and destroy. Now, what are they working on, or what are we working on in the future? So I'm going to read this verbatim. I know you guys can read it, but read along with me. Really excited about the future for Alvo. First big news is that we have passed the Sony QA test for PSVR 2, which is great. So we're going to be pushing that into beta, which is currently in beta. I'll talk a little bit more about that. They're going to be opening it up to existing testers in the near future. Map enhancements are the main focus at the moment, as movement, control schemes, and button mapping carry over from the Quest. So with the controllers being as they are very similar to the Quest controllers. So the button mapping is going to be very, very similar for the PSVR 2 as it was for the Quest. And for those coming over from PSVR 1, I am sorry that you're going to have to get accustomed to a new button mapping. There is no aim controller 2, but I can promise you it won't be that difficult. Just go through the training, do some training with some easy bots, get used to the button mapping and the layout, and I can almost guarantee you're going to be satisfied with it. As for the map enhancements, we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give you an idea of what to expect, but just know that those are the main focus to take full advantage of the PSVR 2 and the technological capabilities of it. Just know that what you see right now in Alvo and what you've seen for the past 2 years, it's not going to be the same going into virtual reality 2 on the PlayStation. A long-awaited PC release on Steam has been at the forefront of a lot of players' minds. PC users want to get their hands on this, and this is what the devs have to say about it. We have always wanted to release the game on Steam and are finally in a better position to work towards this with everything that is being put into virtual reality 2 for the PSVR. Reason being is because the PSVR 2 was, this game started out on the PlayStation VR, and they want to continue this onto the PlayStation VR 2. Along with the PlayStation VR 2, they're going to be able to provide the enhancements necessary for all the console players, and this is going to be easily transferable over to a PC version because it's built on PC first and then rendered out and solidified for the console. Fortunately, with how good the technology is for the PSVR 2, there's not going to be much difference between the console version and the PC version, which is actually a plus because what I've seen so far, the graphics are pretty awesome. So I'm excited for both PSVR 2 and PCVR players for when these new map enhancements come. They go on to say, along with the Steam release, the team are exploring options to add custom mods. This is obviously only capable on the PC side of things, and Steve has always been about mod involvement. He loves the idea of mods making their own game modes, making their own maps, doing their own thing. Like kind of like what we see on Contractors and Pavlov. We see a lot of modding over in those communities. Steve is all about that, and he really is looking forward to stuff like that. Of course, this is going to come only after the Steam VR release, so hopefully shortly after the release on the PC VR, we might be able to see some custom mod options open up to all you modders out there. They continue to say, typically when console players think of Steam, the word hacker isn't too far behind. So of course they're implementing some anti-cheat systems to back this up and keep the game as fair as possible. Obviously, keeping cheaters out isn't going to be 100% foolproof. People are going to find their way around it. Now, are we going to see cheaters in Alvo? There could be a chance. I'm not entirely certain, but of course the team is going to be paying attention to this and doing their best to ensure that we have the most fair level of gameplay. And of course, with these new releases on the various platforms, we're going to continue to have crossplay. This means it's going to be on the Quest 2, it's going to be on the Pico, it's going to be on the PlayStation VR 1, PlayStation VR 2, and PC VR. That is a lot of headsets to update, but the team is down for it as long as you guys are. Now, as for weapons, they've wanted a better weapon system of throwing the grenades, grabbing knives, etc. with the primary hand rather than the secondary for a while now. Knowing that this would be a huge task, and it has played a factor in the timing. A major overhaul of grabbing system where you can let go, reload, or throw a grenade with either hand has been in the works for the past 2 months as of May 11th. If you're in the Discord, you've probably seen some of this stuff from Dark Ptolemy. He has posted a few videos of the work that he's been doing with the new grab systems in the game. So now you can actually release with your dominant hand, whichever hand is on the handle with the trigger, and you can release with, of course, your offhand, and you can even throw the gun away completely. It's working pretty good. It's looking pretty good. I think there are a few things that they need to work out. I have given my suggestions. Hopefully they take some of them. But so far, it feels really good, and I appreciate it. I love being able to just let go of my weapon if I wanted to and just quickly chuck a grenade or grab my pistol. And I don't know. Can't wait till it comes to you guys. Furthermore, this just gives more future proofing for anything they want to add, of course, making hands more independent. The system will also include the long-awaited weapon offsets that have been missing on the Quest and Pico. Now, if you're a PlayStation user, ever since release, there has always been this weapon offset system in place where you can actually adjust the weapon where it is in relation to your body. So if you're holding against your body and that's the only position that you can really hold it in, well, you could offset it so that actually aligns perfectly straight with how you're holding it. So your gun could actually be pointing to the left, but in the virtual space, it's pointing straight. This is to make sure that everybody is comfortable when they play and that they can play comfortably rather than forcing your hands into an uncomfortable position that they wouldn't naturally go in. So as the team always tries to do, they want to create the best and most smooth gameplay they possibly can. And to do this, sometimes it's related to the install size and how many assets are being considered and how many are actually being registered by the software and the hardware simultaneously. And sometimes if there's too much to render out, the software program, the application itself starts getting bogged down and it slows down performance. Well, with every new patch looking at improving this to limit any overload onto the hardware. And they did it again here in 1.3.7. Install size, they say Alva has always had a big file size. In our progress towards getting the game ready for player mods, we have found some great methods to allow us to reduce the game size by roughly 30%. That's pretty significant if you ask me. And reduce load times by up to 10 seconds. So if you were sitting in a load time for a while, and you're like, man, this is taking forever, and you're loading into a match, and it's at 1 second already, and then boom, you're in. You barely had time to breathe or even get set. Well, now this has been improved. You don't have to worry as much because now you'll have at least 10 seconds. Roughly, it's an ambiguous number, but at least they've sped it up. So it's roughly 10 seconds to get prepared. These reductions should be in the game by 3.8. So we're at 1.3.7. So by the next patch, we should have this. Furthermore, as they try to expand the game and give us more content, they've added 2 more maps. Now, I myself, of course, as you guys know, if you've been part of this channel for a while and you've been following me, you know that I've been deeply invested into the quality assurance of every single map. As an alpha tester and someone who's been around for a long time with the team, I have really tried to do my due diligence to find as much as possible before the beta testers get their hands on it. Of course, beta testers are always going to find stuff that maybe I can't, especially as a solo player running around. I can only catch so much and I can't stack players and try to get out of the map in certain areas. But for the most part, I try to catch all the visual issues and as much as I can, maybe scaling issues. Of course, there's a bunch of us looking at these things. but I'm definitely at the forefront of it. I do my best, and these two new maps that are coming forward are a couple of the best ones yet. Of course, I say this every single time, but I absolutely love these maps, and every single new map that they make, they just get better and better and better. These developers, they are learning and they're growing and they're getting better at their craft. It's fantastic to see. I cannot wait for you guys to see these. Now, when they're going to release, I'm not entirely sure, but I can tell you this much. They are pretty much close to completion. One in particular is, I would say, pretty darn close to being released. And then the other one might need a little more time in the oven for optimization purposes. And of course, now with the PSVR 2 coming out, a version coming out, they're looking to also enhance these and have a more enhanced version of it. So it's a little bit double the work, but of course, it won't be too long before they can get both versions set and simultaneously release. All right, now is what to kind of expect moving forward. Of course, we're going to get a couple more maps. We're going to see more improvements. We're going to see the hands being able to operate independently of the weapon itself. This is just all paving the path for new content coming in the future. And of course, with mods as not a primary focus, but one of the top focuses of the PC release, they're setting the game up and the game systems up to allow for that and create a very different kind of experience for everybody. What I can say now about the PSVR 2 is that it is currently in beta, and before it even went to beta, I was able to hop in with a couple of the other alpha testers, or at least the PSVR 2 alpha testers, to get a run around and get a glimpse of what to expect. With the current build, we are not seeing any of those visual enhancements that the devs are talking about, but we see a lot more clarity and you can see a lot more clearly at a longer distance. These maps have yet to be optimized entirely, but they should be by the time we're fully beta testing them. At present, the downloads just occurred today, the updates just occurred today, so I'm probably going to be hopping in right after I'm done making this video just to test things out and see if some of the LOD issues have been fixed and some of the other visual impairments that were there are corrected. Of course, this isn't going to stay the way it is for long. No, I have already seen multiple maps with their visual enhancements, and let me tell you, they are beautiful with the lighting, the new textures, the depth, the clarity. I mean, for some reason, as I walked through these map enhancements, everything felt more to scale, larger. Like the tunnel in town, for some reason, even though scale was the same, with the specific lighting and the new textures that they've added, it's a whole different feel. And for some reason, it felt like it was larger. It felt like you were really in that tunnel, where sometimes when I'm playing on the Quest, yes, I see the scale, but I don't really feel the scale. Only VR users really understand what I'm saying. But with the new visual enhancements, I'm super excited to say that you are going to experience a completely different Alvo. Visually experience a completely different Alvo. Now, I've only been able to see a few maps: Monastery, Town, and Retreat. And I've been able to see those. There are plenty of other maps, obviously, as you well know, that I have yet to see, and hopefully I will see in the near future. But I know that they're coming. I'm excited, and I'm sharing it with you because I want you to be excited. The devs, they have no stop, and they keep bringing the heat. And I can't wait for 1.3.8. And if you haven't gotten into 1.3.7, get in today. If you haven't gotten the game, go to the Quest store, go to a PlayStation store, pick it up. It's less than $20 right now. You might as well steal. It's a steal, folks. You might as well pick it up. It's an absolute steal, and you're going to find a lot of joy in playing this game. There is a league that has started. I am running it. I am also going to be commentating it. I'm also going to be playing in it. I'm going to be part of Paragon. I'm super excited to take on some of the other returning teams. We have about 8 teams that are going to be competing, maybe 9. We'll see. We could possibly get to 10. I hear we might have 2 more teams coming in. So if you guys want a piece of that, and if you want to come in and play some real competitive Alvo, be sure to join that Discord. You can actually find the link in the official Alvo Discord to this Alvo World League Discord. I hope to see you guys there. But more importantly, get into the game, have fun, and I will see you guys out on the battlefield. Till then, peace.